Michelle, I should not be getting pimples at this age, and I got one.
Where? I don't see it.
It's on my nose.
Is that why you were sitting in the dark when I logged on?
Welcome to Scary Mystery Surprise,
where we talk about scary things that surprised us around the internet.
I'm Edwin.
I'm Michelle. I scared myself last night. Are you ready?
I am ready.
The Hotel Cecil.
Few stories scared me as much as that one. Oh my God.
There's a pretty good documentary on Netflix about Hotel Cecil. It's like one of their, shock documentaries that they made. It's pretty good. And then Ghost Adventures did one at the exact same time. So, you can watch the factual one on Netflix and then go over to Discovery Plus and watch Zach Bagans run around and being like, that faucet wasn't on when we left this room. Now it's on.
Dude.
So you can have both of your worlds together. But I feel like they balance each other out. You need both of them to really get an accurate picture of the Hotel Cecil. And for those who don't know, the Hotel Cecil is a hotel in downtown Los Angeles. It was built in 1927, and it's still around, and it's now called the Stay on Main, which is its rebrand where they tried to fix it, but nothing was ever fixed.
Weird name.
Yeah, it looks like a hostel. I went on and I looked at the booking pages.
Wait, you can stay there?
Currently, no, but I'll get to that. There are still booking pages up, so you can see what the rooms look like, which there's bunk beds in there. It's like a hostel. It's basically the equivalent of a hostel. And the rooms were $49. If you were coming from Europe and backpacking, you'd be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll stay in downtown Los Angeles. Sure. If you didn't know anything, you'd be like, yeah, this looks cheap and it's walkable.
And it's in the heart of Los Angeles.
Joke's on you. Downtown is not the heart of Los Angeles. It's not where you want to go when you come here. You're really thinking of Malibu when you're thinking of Los Angeles. So go stay in Malibu. Go stay in Santa Monica. They're all different cities. They're not Los Angeles. So go do that.
Those postcards is Los Angeles, and they show a picture of Santa Monica and
yeah, the palm trees.
Yeah.
And yeah, they don't. Downtown Los Angeles is not where you want to be.
Nope, not at all.
The Hotel Cecil, now known as Stay on Main, was opened in 1927 in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. The hotel was an impressive 15-story building with 700 rooms, making it one of the largest hotels in the city at the time. The hotel lobby was grand and ornate with marble floors, high ceilings, and crystal chandeliers, all of which are still there in those photos on that booking website. You can see them. It's almost really nice. Except there's a Coke machine now.
Sounds fancy. Sounds like a terrible place to record, though, with all that reverb and marble.
Oh, I'm sure that's the least of the problems. I just can't even. This place, even if you didn't believe in ghosts, just think of all the bad energy that's been there. And I'll get to some more of the stories about this place, but it's pretty gnarly. That's a lot of stuff that's happened there in one area, one concentrated area. Honestly, I think they should tear it down and probably put in a municipal building of some sort, something that people don't stay in at night. That would probably be the way to do it. Anyway, the hotel was marketed as a luxurious destination for business travelers and tourists during its opening. The rooms were furnished with stylish decor and modern amenities such as telephones, radios, and private bathrooms.
So modern.
So this is 1927. So yeah, this is 1927. So fancy. The hotel had several restaurants, a barbershop, a beauty salon, a rooftop garden that offered stunning views of the city. And despite this luxurious amenities and the prime location, the Hotel Cecil was also known for its dark side. Over the years, it gained a reputation for being associated with crime and violence, and several suicides, murders, and other mysterious deaths that occurred within its walls. See, something that happened at the Hotel Cecil is that during the 30s and the Great Depression, it just took a dive. Like, it became a low-rent hotel, and it basically stayed that way for, honestly, $49 even now is not a lot of money for a hotel. So it has just stayed a low-rent motel, which attracts a certain type of clientele, along with European travelers that don't know any better, unfortunately.
I feel so bad.
Me too. Can you imagine, like, Googling your hotel? If you were going to go stay in Europe and you Google your hotel and it turns out it has the nickname the Suicide Hotel or something like that.
Yeah, nope.
It doesn't matter how cheap it is. It just doesn't matter.
Plus, imagine international travelers who don't speak English very well. They just see the $ 49.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
Walkable. Downtown Los Angeles. I'll just walk to the beach. But anyway, I wrote a little story about a fictional guy named Eddie. Have you ever gone by Eddie?
Some people call me that.
Really?
Eddie, Edgardo.
This story is to just set the tone for what we're walking into at the Hotel Cecil. Just adding to the legend. Gotta add my 2 cents to the legend.
Our lies.
Gotta add the scary mystery surprise lies to the legend here. Eddie had always been a drifter, never staying in one place too long. But when he arrived in Los Angeles in the 1930s, he found himself drawn to the Hotel Cecil. It wasn't the fanciest place in town, but it certainly had its charm, a feeling of history and character that Eddie found appealing. He checked into a small room on the 4th floor and spent his first few days exploring the city. Eddie had always been a bit of a troublemaker, and he quickly found himself drawn to the seedy underbelly of Los Angeles.
Like it. I like it. It sounds very classy, very like...
You can hear him doing his thing, and he's in the underbelly of Los Angeles. He's causing trouble.
I like it.
He spent his nights at the hotel bar drinking and talking to the other guests, many of whom were also drifters and outsiders like himself. But as the days passed, Eddie noticed strange things happening at the Hotel Cecil. He would hear strange noises coming from the rooms next door, and sometimes he would catch a glimpse of a shadowy figure lurking in the hallway. One night, Eddie decided to investigate. He crept down the hallway, trying to be as quiet as possible, and as he approached a room where he had heard the noises, he heard a strange chanting coming from inside. He pushed the door open just a crack and peeked inside. What he saw made his blood run cold. A group of people, dressed in robes, holding candles, were gathered around a small altar. In the center of the altar was a book, and Eddie could see strange symbols etched into the cover. Suddenly, one of the robed figures noticed Eddie and pointed at him, shouting something in a language he didn't understand. Eddie turned and ran down the hallway as fast as he could, the sound of the chanting echoing in his ears. After that night, Eddie decided it was time to leave the Hotel Cecil.
Decided, okay.
As I think we all would at that point, don't you? I think we'd all be like, okay, time to go.
After witnessing a toga party.
Yeah, after some sort of strange orgy Satan party, he was like, it's time for me to go. He didn't know what was going on there, but he knew it wasn't anything good. He packed his bags and left without looking back, hoping to put the strange experience behind him. But as he walked the dark, deserted streets of Los Angeles, because of course he left in the dark, in the middle of the night, because of course he did.
Like a rucksack? Like
yeah, I'm imagining. I think it's called a bindle. Just the stick and the rag. But as he walked down the dark streets of Los Angeles, Eddie couldn't shake the feeling he was followed. But the feeling persisted, growing stronger and stronger with each step he took. Every time he turned around, he saw nothing but shadows and the empty night air. Finally, Eddie reached his destination, a small apartment on the outskirts of town. He locked the door behind him and collapsed onto the bed, exhausted and terrified. But as he closed his eyes, he heard a strange whispering in his ear, a voice that sounded like it was coming from the other side of the veil. Eddie tried to forget about his experience at the Hotel Cecil the next day, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. He felt eyes on him everywhere he went, watching his every move. And then, one night, as he lay in bed, he heard a knock at the door. And when he opened it, he saw nothing but darkness and the faint glimmer of a pair of eyes, The eyes seemed to follow him everywhere he went, haunting him with their unblinking stare. Ultimately, Eddie disappeared without a trace, his fate a mystery that remains unsolved. Did he just move on like the drifter he was, or was he swallowed up by the darkness of the Cecil Hotel? Dun dun dun!
No, like, there's just something about somebody disappearing.
The Hotel Cecil is dubbed one of the most haunted hotels in the world. And the hotel plays host to several legends, some of which include the hotel's basement, which is said to have been used as a morgue during the 40s. Some guests have reported strange noises and feelings of uneasiness in the basement. And there's also a legend about a man who lived in the hotel for several years and claimed to have supernatural powers. He allegedly performed rituals, experiments in his room, and some guests have reported feeling an eerie presence in that room after the man's death.
No.
But those are all just legends. The hotel has a lot of proven disturbing events that have happened there, from suicides to murders and disappearances. The hotel's reputation for violence, crime, and mysterious deaths has led to an association with the paranormal, with some people believing that the spirits of unfortunate guests stay and haunt it. So
It makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense. It's 700 rooms.
It's a lot. It's like a whole neighborhood in there.
It's a lot of rooms and like a lot of people going through there. One of the notable murders was Goldie Osgood. In 1964, she's a retired telephone operator, and she was found dead in her room at the Hotel Cecil. She'd been raped, stabbed, and strangled, and her murder has never been solved.
That's sad. That is sad.
It's very sad, but that is like one of the well-known. She was like a kind of like a local character. I think she liked to feed the birds in the park.
So that story with that murder is real.
Yes, that's real. We're into the real stuff now, not just the legends of there being a mythical morgue or a witchcraft guy or Eddie. Eddie probably exists there now because I spoke it into reality and we all believe it. So Eddie, our ghost friend Eddie, lives there as well.
Hopefully he's cool. I imagine him appearing with jeans and a hat. I was thinking like cowboy, but I'm like, wait, no, not cowboyish. Maybe more classy, but he's a drifter, so he has to be some type of...
I think like it would be a fedora, a beat-up fedora hat, and maybe he has a ripped knee in his like corduroy pants or something.
Okay. I see that. Okay.
Bit of a drifter. Bit of a gambler, Eddie.
Yep, taking it as it comes. Heartbreaker.
Yeah, a heartbreaker. Rambling man. He's a real rambling man.
Yeah.
Anyway, another weird, bizarre fact at the Hotel Cecil is the suicides. The exact number of suicides that have occurred at the Hotel Cecil, now the stay on Main, which I feel like still needs to be reiterated, is that it's not called Hotel Cecil anymore. It's called the benign stay on Main. The exact number of suicides is unknown, as the hotel has a long, complicated history that spans nearly a century, and they have only reported some of them. You know what I mean? They kind of like hide the numbers on suicides, but I think a lot of hotels do that. Like where they...
True. Remember the body under the bed episode? They're not going to... No.
Yeah, so especially one that's this notorious. However, it is known that the hotel had numerous suicides over the years, with some occurring by jumping from the hotel's windows. The most famous suicide at the hotel was that of Pauline Otten, who jumped from the 9th floor of the hotel in 1962, killing a pedestrian on the sidewalk below.
Oh, no.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate. And the hotel's association with suicide has led it to being nicknamed the Suicide Hotel.
How unfortunate.
Fucking nail your windows shut, guys. Like...
That's why hotels have, like, you can't open them.
Yeah, you cannot open your windows because they do not want you to jump out.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. It's a weird way to adapt instead of giving people mental health stuff.
Yeah. It just
services. Instead of giving people mental health services, it's let's just nail the window shut so they can't jump out.
Oh, it's so weird to think that along that sidewalk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
I bet there's a lot. That's just like one example of someone jumping out of the window. I've heard other stories about people jumping out the windows too. And there's a legend of a pregnant lady who jumped out the window because management was kicking her out. And so she jumped out the window, killing herself and her unborn child. And then apparently people see her ghostly apparition and hear a baby crying on the 9th floor. That's one of the legends there too.
So dark.
Hotel Cecil, it's not light. It's not a light thing. And I haven't even gotten to the serial killers yet. Because 2 serial killers stayed there.
I've heard of that.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. It's an ugly building. I don't know if at one point it looked cool or really fancy, but when you look at it now,
well, it was like a flop house. Like they were staying there because it was cheap. So the 2 serial killers that stayed there, one was Richard Ramirez, who is known as the Night Stalker. Terrifying serial killer. Terrifying photos of him. There's another Netflix documentary about him. You can watch it, but it is scary. He's just very creepy and really disconnected from reality. And
let me look up a picture of this guy.
He has these cheekbones that go on for days.
Oh.
Cheekbones that could cut glass.
Okay. Wow. Wait, this is modern stuff.
Yeah.
He's still alive?
No, I think someone killed him in prison. This was in the 80s.
Jeez. Okay.
But yeah, what I don't like about the documentary is like everything. LA still looks like it's in the 1980s and 90s. So it's like they're showing footage of places he broke into and things like that. And it's, oh, that was like Eagle Rock. I live right near Eagle Rock. And less like things like that where you're like, oh,
wow.
He's terrifying.
I don't know why I get Michael Jackson vibes off of this guy.
It's those cheekbones, but also maybe that's why I'm terrified. Like that adds to the level of me being more terrified of him. Is that it's the nose and the cheekbones. Ugh. It is known that at least 2 infamous serial killers stayed at the Hotel Cecil, now stay on Main, at different times in history. One of them was Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker. Terrifying, looks like Michael Jackson, cheekbones that could cut glass, who stayed at the hotel during his killing spree in the 80s. Ramirez was a notorious serial killer and rapist who terrorized the Los Angeles area and was known to have dumped his bloody clothes in the hotel's dumpster during his stay. So, like, he's got some energy there. And then the other serial killer who stayed...
Is this another cheekbone guy?
Wow, he does have cheekbones. What bizarrely attractive serial killer cheekbones. As in the cheekbones are attractive, not that they are attractive. I just want to clarify that. I do not
Michelle has a crush on a serial killer.
Never. God, no.
If you had to pick, though, Michelle, if you had to pick.
Oh, I got into the weirdest argument at a barbecue once because... I don't know. Me and this other guy were like, oh, Ted Bundy's the best looking serial killer. And then this other girl who got like insane was like, no, it's Jeffrey Dahmer. Like she got so incensed that it was Jeffrey Dahmer. And I think I just go Bundy out of like loyalty to the Northwest, not because I'm particularly attracted to him, but he's known as Mr. Charming serial killer, not like Dahmer. Not documentary, but that show that just came out and he's like, let me take a picture. There's no being like, oh yeah, that guy. I mean, whenever they make a Ted Bundy movie, they hire the most attractive man they can find. Like they literally, what's his name? Zac Efron played him in the latest one. Like, why do they do that? He's literally got a unibrow. I just don't understand. The levels of attractiveness, I'm a little confused by, but look, I get it. I'm a white woman that likes true crime. I should be into serial killer. It's a good question if I'm attracted to a serial killer. It's a valid question.
My face hurts.
The other serial killer who stayed at the hotel was Jack Unterweger, who was convicted of murdering 9 people in Europe and in the United States. I've heard about him before. So he was actually in jail for killing sex workers in Austria. And then he somehow convinced people that he was reformed, and he like wrote a book and got on TV, and so they let him out of jail. And then he came over here and was like, he said he was researching a story about a crime in Los Angeles in 1991, and he was staying at the Hotel Cecil, and
one thing led to another, and he murdered more people.
Yeah, I think he killed 2 people while he was here, if I'm remembering it right. He's pretty weird. He's a pretty twisted guy. Like the fact that he convinced the public that he was like cured and that they let him out. And then neither of these serial killers, there's any proof that they murdered anyone in the hotel. So that's just has to be stated, I guess. So, but think about that energy of a place that brings in 2 serial killers.
I'm telling you, just even to dump your bloody clothes.
Ugh, in the dumpster? Yeah, no thanks. But now to get into the case that probably sticks in most people's minds and introduced us to the Hotel Cecil in the first place. The mysterious death of Elisa Lam. Elisa Lam was a Canadian student who went missing while staying at the Hotel Cecil in January 2013. Her disappearance sparked a massive public search and tons of internet interest. It was all over the news. It was all over everything in Los Angeles. I specifically remember seeing it on Access Hollywood. People were covering her disappearance because leading up to her disappearance, it was captured on CCTV footage that went viral online. Lam was a 21-year-old student from Vancouver, British Columbia, who was on a trip traveling alone in California. She checked into the Hotel Cecil. See, here's another thing where I'm like, she was from British Columbia, so she checked into the Hotel Cecil. She did not know. Granted, downtown wasn't as bad in 2013. I bet Hotel Cecil was advertising itself as something different in Canada than it was in the U.S.
Also, I blame some of those travel agencies. They get deals and try to really market it.
Oh, 100%.
I used to be part of that.
Yeah, you're not anymore. And I'm assuming that your hostel wasn't like as crazy as this place, but who knows?
Just a couple incidents. Depending
on how many serial killers you had stay there, I think that needs to be disclosed. How many serial killers stay at your hotel?
Just like in the entrance, you're legally, like you have to say.
There was a bar in my college town. It was called the Waterfront. And I don't know if it's still there. It'd be really weird if it was. But it was claimed to fame that 3 serial killers had drank there. Which I was just like, oh my God, which ones?
Imagine it's just like a plaque, like, here sat
Ted Bundy. Yeah, it was interesting. Also, it smelled like fried food, and there were probably rats in the back of
oh no.
In the kitchen. So I just can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. If it's still there, I'm sorry for slander. All of that is alleged. After Lam was reported missing, the Los Angeles Police Department released the surveillance footage from the hotel's elevator that showed her acting erratically and appearing to hide from someone or something. In the video, Lam is seen pressing multiple elevator buttons, stepping in and out of the elevator, and peering out the door, peeking her head out. She also hand gestures and seems to be talking to someone not visible in the video. Which, if you've seen that footage, it's very disturbing, because it does seem like she's wildly gesturing and talking to someone not on camera. Or like hiding, specifically hiding from someone as well. It's like she comes into the elevator, hits all the buttons, and then the doors don't close. Lam's disappearance sparked a massive search effort and public interest, and many people speculate about what may have happened to her. Weeks later, on February 19th, 2013, Lam's body was found in one of the hotel's rooftop water tanks. Her cause of death was ruled an accidental drowning, but the circumstances of her death remain mysterious and have sparked numerous conspiracy theories and speculation. I remember that being so creepy to see that video and then hear that she was in the water tank, and the way they found her was, which is burned in my mind. 2 European tourists noticed the water tasted weird and was a weird color and smelled funny. And so her body had been decomposing in the water tank, and people had been drinking it.
That is LA water, my friend.
Best example of LA water I've ever heard. Only normally we can't figure out what's happening, where it's coming from.
Oh, European people would be drinking water.
Yeah, and so they complained, and that's how they went up. The hotel went and checked the water tank and found Lam. I think she was known to have some sort of like a bipolar disorder or something like that, and she was off her meds, and it seems like it's pretty proven that this all might have been like a self-induced thing at this point, but nobody really knows how she got up into that water tank. She was naked in the water tank.
I remember seeing a picture of the water tanks, and they're huge. They're very huge, and like the lids to get in, they're really heavy.
It's very strange. She's never been at this hotel before. How does she know to go on the roof and go into the water tank? Or that the water tanks are even there? And just because she's having a mental episode doesn't mean that the nasty energy at that hotel might not have influenced her in some way. Yes, you can attribute it all to the mental episode, or something helped. Something...
Yeah.
It's all just very strange. And now she's an internet legend, which is unfortunate to die and become an internet legend, I think.
Yeah, that's terrible. Like, I think if it was something supernatural, it could have been some type of force just guiding her or telling her you must go up there.
Well, especially because she was vulnerable, because she was like off her meds or something like that.
Yep. Or like that theory, maybe we're the ones that are hypnotized and an actual mental episode is a moment of clarity.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
Then you can see what's really there and why they won't let your elevator go and move like it's supposed to. Plus, in elevators is where you bump into like just about anybody. Like I remember bumping into they call him a mentalist. I was in Ecuador and I went to the elevator and this guy, he's I guess a hypnotist. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, a mentalist, kind of think of them as magicians, but I think you're right. They are hypnotists. I think that's like what a mentalist is.
He just came in, said hi. That's it. It was normal.
He didn't do any tricks? I thought he was going to do it. There was no point to that story?
No point. But if you think about it, maybe he did do a lot and I just don't remember.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he went on a whole adventure and he just wiped it.
Yeah. See? So there's a story. Except
thank God.
I don't know it, but he knows the story.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So, Edwin, after everything I've said, would you stay at Hotel Cecil, or AKA stay on Main?
Yes, I would.
I don't know. I think maybe I'd like to see the lobby. I think I'd walk into the lobby.
If we get messages that say, Michelle, just do it.
Except, pause this, because the city of Los Angeles said in 2017 they were turning the rooms into low-income housing. And as of 2023, you can no longer book rooms there.
No!
I looked. I was just like, $49, like for content, there's no reason Edwin and I shouldn't go do this. Like, but I imagine now that the Hotel Cecil's so popular and famous because of this weird shit, they have people looking for content. I bet they have like they would have had like podcasters, investigators. That would have been a whole thing that they were attracting for this.
Such a lost opportunity there. I'm telling you, this is why I want a haunted place. Because
true,
you can do this kind of thing. It could be a business and it could be just a cool place to hang out and go and just talk to ghosts and stuff. Like, why not? I think, I don't know, we have to really support ghosts here and not...
If it's for the economy.
Yeah. And like, plus, ghosts are cool. I don't know.
And that's your position?
That's my advocacy.
But like I was saying earlier, you can't book a room there, but you can go see all the pictures of the place, of Stay on Main. It's like bunk beds, weird red bedspreads, Coke machine in the lobby, which does not fit the old-timey aesthetic. And the plan is they're going to put services. I don't know if this is still the plan, because last time I heard anything, they might use some of it for low-income housing. But I heard someone had taken it over and they were trying to redo it, put a bar on the roof, make it a cool place to be, which I don't know if it can be that. It would be very interesting.
telling you, they should just lean into it. Haunted Hotel Cecil.
They'd have to change
the new
it
name.
back from the Stay on Main. I love how they tried to make it so bland. Stay on Main. Everything's fine.
Is it on Main Street?
Yeah, I think it's on Main, but that's...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just the Stay on Main. Everything's fine here. Don't worry. Everything's
just a weird name.
Cool. It's so average and bland. Don't worry. It's just an average bland hotel. Nothing weird happens here. Don't worry about it. Oh, but I have a final line. Because I think the Eagles said it best. Because this might be the original Hotel California. Because you can check out, but you can never leave.
You can never leave. That's why it's called Stay.
Yeah, Stay on Main. Dun, 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 dun.
It's not a name. It's an order.
Yeah, no thanks.
No. I would stay there, though.
I guess, what are we going to talk about next week?
I don't know. It'll be a surprise, but it's on a list somewhere.